Rich Dad Principles. I'm Nate, I'm the FitFutureMD, upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Pick up your free copy of the Nutrition and Workout Guide while it's still free. Soon it will not be free, it will be a paid for thing. Like I say, once I got it perfected, I'm gonna have to charge for it, right? So, I teach you to get healthy, I teach you to get rich, I teach you to find love. And if you have all three of those things, you're going to be happy, right? So that's what I'm about. I'm the FitFutureMD, and I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm the owner of Ensorsale. Ensorsale is family. Together we rise up from humble beginnings to inspire others all over the world with the messages on our t-shirts. Wear your inspiration today and use code FitFutureMD for 20% off. Stop seeing all this negativity around you. Stop watching the news and wear something every day that inspires you to be better, inspires you to level up in life, and inspires you to help others, right? That's Ensorsale. So go to Ensorsale.com and pick you up an inspirational t-shirt today. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna talk about the Rich Dad Principles, right? So everybody kind of knows this guy. His name is Robert Kiyosaki, and he came out with a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So, and pretty much every entrepreneur, that's made it big, since 1997 has read this book, right? Called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it basically, in this world, we have a programming, and it's a programming to be an employee, right? Well, Rich Dad, Poor Dad starts your training into reprogramming your mind to be an entrepreneur, right? Someone that takes control of their financial situation and starts a business, right? So I'm gonna go over a few of these principles with you. And like I say, these principles have held up over 20 plus years. So, and I'm also going to talk about the ones I agree with and the ones I don't agree with, right? So, number one, the rich don't work for money, right? This is one of the craziest principles, anyone's ever, if you're trained to be a employee, what are you working for? You're working for money so you can eat and survive, right? And to say, oh, well, the rich don't work for money, well, does that mean they just don't work, right? Well, no, that doesn't mean they don't work, right? So the rich work for skills, a skill set and experience, and something that they're going to start their business in, right? So most entrepreneurs start out in some sort of sales position, right? Robert Kiyosaki's the same way. He started out working at Xerox, right? His ability to be able to sell this idea that, you are stupid for saving money, you are stupid for not starting a business, not using the loopholes of the system to get ahead of everybody else, right? That's what he's done with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his Rich Dad company, right? That's his whole point. It's all sales for him, right? And he is constantly selling that point, right? Constantly selling that point that, if you don't look at it this way, you are dumb, right? And, that's why, he's become so successful, because he is a good salesperson, right? And he learned that working at Xerox and selling, dialing for dollars, for charity at night, right? So the rich don't work for money. They work for skills and experience, right? So if you are in a career right now, you want to start a business, you're in a career right now that's not teaching you what you need to learn to be successful in business, then you have to switch careers, right? You have to switch to something else, right? So that you actually learn something. If you're sitting in a dead end job, not doing anything, this is basically what he's saying, right? Like, hey, stop chasing this promotion and these dollars and start chasing the skill set that you need to be successful in your business, right? So that's the principle of that. there's other people that contradict this thing that say, hey, you should do the minimum least taxing job to just feed yourself so that you can work on your business afterwards. And that's kind of the principle that I like the best, because I can learn the skill set on my own, right? So it's changed a little bit because of the internet, right? So 1997, the internet was barely starting out. This information just wasn't out there, right? So if you want to start a clothing brand, you want to start a candy company, you want to start an energy drink company, all that stuff is out there on the internet now to how to do that, right? I don't have to go work and shadow somebody in that industry to start, right? I just have to, but the experience can help you sell it to other people, right? So that's really where that kind of still plays, right? Because if you have the experience, say oh yeah, I worked for Coca-Cola for 10 years and I can scale this bottling company, I just need the money. It's a lot easier to gain the money when you have 10 years of experience in something, right? So keep that in mind, whichever way you decide, to take that transition from an employee to an employer, an employee to an entrepreneur, right? All right, so second principle is the difference between assets and liabilities. Now, he's very famous, Robert Kiyosaki is very famous for saying your house is not an asset, right? So basically he defines an asset as something that puts money into your pocket. Well, so that means he only considers an asset if it cash flows, if cash is flowing into your pocket. Well, that's not necessarily the definition of an asset, right? But, and a liability is something that takes from your pocket. So a house you have to pay for every month, so it's taking money from your pocket, right? But, I still consider housing an asset, right? It's because, comparing it to renting, you're going to get something back. Even if you don't get 100% of the money that you put into a house back, right? Because you over renovated whatever you did. To me, even if you don't get it all back, you still are getting more back than you would have if you were renting, right? Because you get zero back if you're renting. You might get your deposit back, right? So, I've calculated from the time I was 18 years old to, 32 years old, that's 14 years of money that I'll never get back, right? I would have paid for half a mortgage through that time, right? And in 2005 and 6, they were giving mortgages to dogs, right? So, anyway, I digress on that, but none of that money will come back, right? So say I was paying, $5,000 to $8,000 a year, for 10 years, that's $60,000 that I'll never get back, right? Whereas if I had a home, I would have got that back and more, right, in North Carolina. Now, there's definitely markets that decreased at that time, but but the biggest thing with housing is that, some people don't want to be stationary or stuck somewhere, right? But because housing is hard, housing can go through cycles where it's difficult to get rid of, right? It's not a liquid asset, right? So it might take 90 days to get rid of something. Well, that might keep you from moving to a job in Texas or, in Florida or, wherever there may be a better opportunity, right? So, keep that in mind. I kind of disagree with him here on what is an asset, right? Because a house to me is definitely an asset to most people. And like I said, you lose 100% of everything you rent. So, and yeah, you might be able to jump around a lot faster renting, but it's still the same principle that you're going to lose money renting 100% of the time, and you won't lose money as many times when you buy your house, right? So that's principle number 2 that he's famous for saying, right? Your house is not an asset. To me it is, but like I say, most people will overspend on housing. If you get the equivalent of what that 800 square foot apartment would be in a house, you're not going to be overspending and you're not going to lose money, right? So just my thoughts on that one. All right, so the last principle I'm going to go over is basically financial education, right? He's basically famous for saying that school teaches you nothing about money, right? About how to use money, what is money, right? Money is debt, right? It's borrowed from financial institutions called the Federal Reserve, right? And so he's famous for calling out the Federal Reserve, calling them thieves. He doesn't trust them. Invest in gold and silver. Well, he now owns a gold mine, so you can take that with a grain of salt as well, right? He's selling a principle, right? That the system is going down if you don't do this, right? But financial education is absolutely important, right? And you should do everything in your power to learn the system that you're playing in, right? If you're playing a game and you don't know the rules, it's kind of hard to win the game, right? Sometimes newbies get lucky, right, in games. But, and that's what the system's really good at showing, right? Oh, the lottery winners, or, but they really don't know anything about money, right? And they're going to be broke again in the next 5 years, right? So, once you make the money, you want to keep the money and continue to increase everything in value. And you do that by investing, and you invest in assets. That could be real estate, that can be stocks, that can be gold and silver, that can be art, that can be somebody else's business, right? So Shark Tank has really made that very famous, where you're investing in somebody else's business, right? So like I say, financial education is one of the most important. So these are the 3 principles from Rich Dad Poor Dad that, I really wanted to go over. Like I say, this book basically opened the mind to most entrepreneurs, right? Even if you disagree with it. Because, to me, the whole point is having to reprogram your mind from being an employee to an entrepreneur, an employer. And to do that, you have to start with, education. And this book starts that education off. It's like the first book that everybody reads, right? So I use affirmations to change my mindset, right? Anxiety is fear of the future. Depression is, fear of the past. We're going to live in the present. We're going to do principles every day that makes us into better men, better business people. And we're going to be greater than the 95% out there, right? Just by doing simple steps every day. And that's not including what your natural ability is, what your natural skills are that are handed from God, right? So keep that in mind. I'm Nate. I'm the FitFutureMD. Let's get better together. Shop at Ensorsale.com. Get you an inspirational t-shirt. If you don't see the quote up there that you love that's going to inspire you, shoot me an email and I will be happy to make it for you. I'm Nate at FitFutureMD. Use code FitFutureMD for 20% off at Ensorsale.com, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.